Volkswagen says it has no plans for Volkswagen brand investment in Sri Lanka at this point of time. Ministers flee amidst the barrage of media questions. Signing of the agreement vesting Hambantota port in a Chinese company postponed. Parliamentary debate on constitutional reforms postponed.
And when they are questioned, they walk out. We will tell you all about that tonight on the news. A very good evening to you and welcome. This is News First, your #1 news provider. I'm Shamir Rasuldi.
I'm Sonali Wanigabadage. We have an exciting lineup of stories. Let's start off with one of the top stories that made it to the news. News First made an official inquiry from Volkswagen with regard to the expose that we made of the establishment of a vehicle assembly plant in Kuliapitia. Speaking to News First, Katrine Hochmann of Volkswagen Passenger Cars Corporate Communications said that there are no plans for Volkswagen brand investment in Sri Lanka at this point of time.
The new chairman of Volkswagen announced that the plant will be delayed in order to ascertain the income, expenses and the investment. However, the primary investment will be made by Sinok. Thereafter, they will be coming in. I am happy to state that we start work today after establishing the Volkswagen factory in Kuliapitia. We aim to boost income. Today, they opened the Volkswagen factory in Kurunagala. Thousands of people will receive employment through this.
Public representatives expressed these views regarding the establishment of a Volkswagen factory in Sri Lanka recently. A few days ago, the foundation stone for an assembly plant was laid. We inquired into the truth behind these claims from Volkswagen. Replying to our email query, Katrine Hochmann of Volkswagen Passenger Cars Corporate Communications stated that currently they have no plans for brand investment in Sri Lanka.
There are no plans for Volkswagen brand investment in Sri Lanka at this point in time. This is all we can say about this. There's no further comment on this issue, though.
Meanwhile, journalist Namini Vijayadasa tweeted that she has received word from the German embassy in Sri Lanka denying claims regarding an investment in Sri Lanka by German auto manufacturer Volkswagen.
මේ තරම් රටේ ජනතාව අන්දන රටේ ජනතාව බොරුවෙන් මුලා කරන
I don't think there is any other Westminster Prime Minister who misleads the people of a country in this manner. Regarding Volkswagen, the Prime Minister has lied to the public. He has taken steps to protect those linked to the central bank bond scam. He has taken steps to protect corrupt members of the government. The Prime Minister has also allowed corrupt members of the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration to roam free. If he is a leader who respects democracy and accepts the people's mandate, then he should definitely apologize to the public for all these acts. The people will then decide what decision they should take during the next election. Such actions could be done with transparency. Why did they come before the public and say things that would definitely mislead the public? As the anti-corruption front, we see this as a very disappointing situation. They engage in these acts to mislead the public, yet they protect their friends involved in bond scams. They are protecting their friends by burying investigations. They are also setting up the necessary backdrop for their friends to suck dry the resources of this country.
The foundation stone for what is said to be the biggest tyre manufacturing factory in the country was laid today under the auspices of the Prime Minister.
An investment of 11.25 billion rupees has been made for the factory, which is based in the Vagavatta Board of Investment Industrial Zone in Horana. The tyre factory is owned by business tycoon Nandana Lokavithana. We are due to sign 3 to 4 agreements on the Hambantota port. Once these agreements are signed, Minister Malik Samaravikrama will make a statement in Parliament and will table all of the agreements to the House. We are working with transparency. None of these lands contain places of religious worship or are classified as archaeological sites. We are pleased that industries are being established in the country. However, with whom are these deals being reached?
Today, it is infamous businessman Nandana Lokavitarana who has become the pioneer in bringing this plant here. As the Anti-Corruption Front, we have made complaints with the FCIT and the Bribery Commission on numerous occasions against this person for amassing wealth through illegal means. Together with former Minister Basil Rajapaksa, he purchased the Ceylon Steel Corporation and the Marriott Hotel in Dubai. On the other hand, they were buying up state resources at dirt cheap prices, and Basil Rajapaksa used people like him to invest in other countries. Our complaints have been cast aside and investigations are not taking place. These persons have been welcomed into the government of good governance, and the money that was with the Rajapaksas are being used to build such plants with these persons. The extortion of state resources should not take place under good governance.
The Hambantota port and issues surrounding it have created quite a bit of momentum over the past few days. News First has been closely monitoring this story as well. Now, President Maithripala Sirisena says the government is yet to formulate any agreement on the Hambantota port and industrial zone. The head of state said that no committee report has been unveiled in this regard.
The President made this statement while addressing the 50th anniversary celebrations of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation today. Speaking at the event, President Sirisena said the government will not come into any agreement with the foreign country or company which will harm the country's heritage and honour or in violation of the Constitution. President Maithripala Sirisena went on to note that if the government is to reach an agreement with a particular country or company, it would be done in complete transparency. As of late, there has been a massive opposition towards the Hambantota port and industrial zone. They had called on the chief prelate of the 3 chapters and had presented completely false information. I must say very clearly that nearly 2 years ago, the people of this country elected me as its chief servant with the trust they had in me. For the sake of my motherland and the people, I will leave no room for that trust to be broken. This agreement on the Hambantota port and industrial zone that they speak of so much has not even been formulated as yet.
Welcome back. You're with News First. Let's take another revelation on the US company that is to carry out a project to strengthen good governance in the country.
News First revealed that US firm Development Alternatives Incorporated had been selected to carry out a $13 million project in the country to strengthen good governance. The contract was reached by the Speaker of Parliament and a delegation of parliamentarians and the Secretary General of Parliament. An article written by Wayne Madsen, an investigative journalist in Washington, USA, goes on to depict the involvement of DAI with the Central Intelligence Agency or the CIA. The article goes on to say that DAI has a long history in supporting CIA operations and that it was also accused of supporting the April 2002 coup against Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The article says that USAID and its contractors were heavily involved with the anti-Chavez activities in Colombia at the time of the 2002 coup. According to the article, in 2002, USAID in Palestine, where DAI is also active, demanded detailed personal information on all the members of NGOs that received American funding. The Palestinian press reported that the information, including personal and political opinions of NGO members, was to be turned over to the CIA and eventually Mossad to apply pressure on the NGOs to comply with US and Israeli policies. The article also says that Bolivian President Evo Morales tossed USAID out of his country, charging it with acting with the CIA to destabilize Bolivia and bring about a coup. Wayne Madsen in his article say that in 2009 the Pakistani press reported that USAID was bypassing the Pakistan Ministries of Education and Information and providing direct educational assistance to Pakistani students.
Seniors of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party convened a media briefing today where attention was drawn to the future of the Hambantota port.
Certain groups have a desire to make a human sacrifice for Hambantota. We have been informed that they want to incite demonstrations, cause a clash with the security forces which would claim lives. We have these secret reports. There is rumor being spread that 35,000 families will be evicted. We will not allow the eviction of 35,000 or even 10,000 families that have been living there for generations. Another rumor is that 1 million Chinese nationals will be given visas and that it will become a Chinese colony. These statements are not true. The Chinese army will not come here for the protection of this port. This port will not be granted for Chinese warships to lay anchor or for any military activity to take place. We state this with responsibility. The stance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is clear. We will not sell any land to foreign nations. We will not allow the sale as well. Loss-making enterprises will be restructured, but they will not be sold.
විකිණීමකට යන්නේ නැහැ.
An agreement will not be signed. An agreement will not be signed on the 7th. That is his opinion. An event will take place in Hambantota. An agreement will not be signed. Listen to what I have to say. An event can take place even without signing an agreement. I am not aware of it. My ministry has not signed anything like that. I am not aware of that, but it appears that you are well aware of it. Mr. Journalist, listen to what I have to say. You may be aware of it, but I am not. You have a broader scope, but we don't.
Akhil Viraj Karyavasam is the Minister of Education. He was grilled by journalists at the UNP party headquarters Sirikota on the car assembly plant, and this is what the minister did. Let's take a look.
European vehicles will be manufactured in Kuliapitia. Vehicles of several brands will be manufactured here. Discussions are underway with those companies. The company has invested 4 billion rupees for this.
Billion 4ක් මේ සඳහා ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරලා තියෙනවා. මම දැන් කිව්වනේ නෑ දැන් මේ කර්මාන්ත
This plant will deal with several kinds of vehicles and not any one brand in particular. Discussions are underway with several car manufacturers to reach agreements and supply the required European cars to the country.
යුරෝපානු වාහන සපයලා දෙන්නේ. නෑ මං කිව්වනේ දැන් මම ඔබට කිව්වා
I am not prepared to follow your agenda. I am sorry to say this, but at times you force us on certain matters, even with regard to matters pertaining to the Ministry of Education. When vouchers were presented instead of school uniform material, you were against it. This is not an issue with the heads of your institutions, but this is with regard to your reporting. This puts us in a very difficult situation. You were against it. Thereafter, issues arose with regard to the distribution of vouchers instead of uniform material. I will explain this to you at a separate time.
ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මම මේකෙන් පස්සේ ඔයාලට වෙන වෙලාවක මේවා ගැන ඔක්කොම අහන්න. මම ඒකට කියන්න. අනේ අමතෝ මේවා මේ රට දොස් කියලා ඉතින් මට එන්නේ නැහැ. මම දොස් කියලා නෑ අමතෝ අපි රෙඩිකිලි බල ප්‍රශ්නේ. නෑ ඒකයි මම ඉල්ලලා දානවා. නෑ ඒකේ මේ ජනරල් අහිංසක ගහන්නේ රෙඩිකිලිනේ මේ බාරම. පොඩි කැලි ඒකේ පංචාවනේ නෑ අමතෝ මයිලා යහුවේ ඒක. නෑ වංචාවක් කරලා නෑ. වංචාව ඔබතුමා බලන්නේ ඉන්නේ මේකද? ඔබතුමා වංචාව ගත මිනිස්සු වෙන්නේ පිළි.
නෑ මම දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ ආනෝනේ
මේ රටම දන්න හොරගම් කරපු ගසාකාපු උඩේ මේ රටම දන්න හොරගම් කරපු ගසාකාපු කමේ අයින් කරලා ඒ නිසා ඒ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ උදව් අරගෙන ඒ වගේ වෙනින් පෙනී ඉන්නවා.
අනේ ඔබතුමා යනවා මේක හරියට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න.
There was another walkout by a strongman of the United National Party. This time around, it was the Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Malik Samaravikrama. We have the footage for you coming up later on in the news bulletin. Stay connected, stay with News First, and we will tell you exactly what happened at the media briefing in question. All that and more coming up in a moment.
Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake today responded to a recent statement made by the central bank governor.
We need to ask why Sri Lanka, which was second to Japan in Asia on most socio-economic indicators, has slipped so far behind today. We need to ask why it is that in what is generally termed the Asian century, Sri Lanka is the only country other than Afghanistan in the Asia-Pacific region with an IMF program. Having an IMF program is the economic equivalent of being in hospital. We are not in the ICU, but we are clearly in hospital. The upside is that the remedial treatment is known, and it is encouraging that it has commenced.
I believe that the statement made by the central bank governor has been misinterpreted. What he has actually said through the media is that the country's economy is in hospital and not in the ICU. Yes, Mahinda Rajapaksa did hand us the economy when it was in the ICU.
When it was pushed into the ICU, he was also an attendant there. Even the governor at the time was with the Rajapaksas. Very soon, we will take the economy out of hospital and bring it to the OPD. That is the difference between the two.
The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has called on the business community in the country to support the independence of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and its policy reform efforts.
Commending the central bank's monetary policy roadmap for 2017, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce says the roadmap is an encouraging outlook for the Sri Lankan business community in terms of monetary policy, price stability, financial system stability and institutional reforms. It says that the roadmap for the year will be a progressive and ambitious shift, but would need to be implemented over time. While noting that the current conflict of interest faced by the CBSL between being the banker to the government as well as managing interest rates needs to be resolved, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce says moves to establish an independent public debt office or vest it within the Ministry of Finance can play a strong role in further strengthening the bank's independence.
Several members of the United National Party today walked out of media briefings, and we did promise you that Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama was also one of them. What happened before his walk out? The announcement was that the signing of the agreement to lease the Hambantota port to China will not take place on the 7th as planned. This was announced by the minister in charge, Minister Malik Samaravikrama. Speaking to reporters today, he said that 3 more agreements will be reached and they will be signed before the end of the month. A cabinet subcommittee has been appointed to look into this, and it will be headed by Dr. Sarath Amanugama.
We are the ones who called for it to be probed by Parliament, not a single minister. An act can be probed. An act which is to take place cannot be probed. Persons like Chamal Rajapaksa destroyed the port. Now they want to come and remove the debt burden. We have no issue, but there is no agreement.
ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම කිසිම ව්‍යවස්ථානුකූල කටයුත්තක් නොවේ.
Do not yell. Ask your question. This is not a media facade. Although we as a government thought there was a wrong that was committed, we called for it. Chamal Rajapaksa has no right to look into this, but we will allow it. We got to know later about the signing. Next question.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් බලන්න අපි එක ඉඩ දෙනවා. දෙන්නේ අපි ඉඳන් ගත්තට පස්සේ මොකද අස්සම් කරන්නේ කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රශ්නේ. අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. අනිත් සමරේ ඇමෙතුමා මේ චෝදනාවක් තියෙනවා. මේ අද සිදුවී පොලිසියෙන් චෝදනාවක් ආවෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ වරාය අමාත්‍යාංශ නිලධාරීන් හෝ වරාය අධිකාරී නිලධාරීන්ට සහභාගී වෙන්න එපා කියලා අගමැතිතුමාට දැනුම් දුන්නේ. ඒක මගෙන් අහන්න එපා අගමැතිතුමාගෙන් අහන්න.
ඔබතුමා දන්නේ කොහොමද අගමැතිතුමා කියන්නේ?
නැවත ජනවාරි මාසයේ දිනේ ආශික අධික්ෂක කාර්යසභාව ඇතුළත දීපුවද දෙන්නේ. මොකටද මේ? ඒ ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න දෙන්නේ මේ ආවේගයෙන් ඔබතුමා
නෑ අපි අහලා එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් ගැන විකෘති කිරීමක් තිබෙනවා නම් මේ හැන්දෑවේ නිවුස් වලට ඒක හරියන්නේ නැහැ.
ඔව් ස්තුතියි. මාලික් කැමතිතුමා දැන් මේ එක agreement එකක් තියෙනවා draft agreement එකක් වරාය අධිකාරියයි අමාත්‍යාංශ ලේකම් තුන්දෙනයි operator කියලා කම්පැනියක් ඔබතුමා කිව්ව ආකාරයෙන් ඒ draft agreement එකේ තියෙනවා එක clause එකක් තනිහා සම්පූර්ණ අයිතිය මේ වරායේ අපි දෙනවා මේ කම්පැනියට operatorට ඒකේ සත්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවද මොකද මේක draft agreement එකක් විතරයි
ඒ කියන්නේ බදු ක්‍රමය සියලුම බලපෑම් දෙන්නේ
නැහැ it make a clause number 2.4
is the framework agreement.
No, this is not the framework agreement.
So we don't know what this is. I don't know
this
anything
else. This is the first draft of the Hambantota project agreement.
That's not us.
That's not us. That is prefabricated by the joint officers that they think.
We have not even seen. I have not even seen this.
Still about postponements, the subcommittee debate of the Steering Committee on Constitutional Amendments, which was scheduled to be held on the 9th, 10th and 11th of this month in Parliament, has been postponed.
The decision was reached during the Constitutional Assembly, which convened under the auspices of the Prime Minister today. Secretary of the committee, Neil Idavella, said that a decision on the date of the debate will be reached soon.
The Consultation Task Force on Reconciliation Mechanisms produced its final report containing the recommendations needed for the reconciliation process in the country.
The report has been compiled by 11 members of civil society appointed by the Prime Minister, taking into consideration 7,306 submissions that were made by the public island-wide. The Consultation Task Force was seeking suggestions from the public for the design of an Office of Missing Persons, a Truth, Justice, Reconciliation and Non-Recurrence Commission, a judicial mechanism with a special counsel and an Office of Reparations. The report, among a number of other recommendations, suggests the importance of establishing a special court and Office of Special Counsel without delay, and that its powers, functions and its relationship to other mechanisms should be made public. It highlights the need for active international participation of judges to the Office of the Special Counsel. The report recommends that provision should be made to ensure that there is an adequate number of judges so that the absence of one or more does not create delays. It adds that there should be at least one international judge on the bench with a majority of local judges.
Our recommendation is for what is called a hybrid court. We have called for full participation of internationals, ranging from experts and advisors to judges and prosecutors. We've called for clear, transparent, public release of the criteria and selection process as far as these individuals are concerned, both internationals as well as national. Once any shortcomings, incompetence have been eradicated, and once the deficit in terms of trust and confidence has been bridged, that the internationals can be phased out. We do not see them as a permanent fixture.
Welcome back. Death row inmate former MP Duminda Silva was produced before the Colombo Magistrates Court today with regard to an assets and liabilities case.
3 cases have been filed against Duminda Silva for not declaring his assets and liabilities. Duminda Silva, who is in death row, was brought to the court complex in an ambulance. Attorneys informed the magistrate that he is suffering from an ailment that prevents him from even entering court. The magistrate ordered for a medical report to be submitted in 2 weeks. This is how other inmates and suspects were escorted to courts in the recent days, while today Duminda Silva, a death row inmate, was brought to courts in an ambulance. While Duminda Silva claims that he suffers from an ailment which prevents him from leaving the ambulance, this is how he was seen at the prison's hospital.
The first operational office of the Gammadda Savia organisation was opened in Karuwalagaswawa today.
The Gammadda 100-day initiative. With the people, for the people.
The second phase of the Gammadda movement will come into effect through the Gammadda Savia organization with the objective of solving many public issues in the country. The Gammadda Savia office was opened in Karuwalagaswawa today, bringing more hope to the people of the area and 5 other villages. We paid heed to the requests of the people in the country and identified them. We took measures to solve these issues with the assistance of the people with big hearts. The locals presented their issues at the Gammadda Savia meeting that took place at the Moriyakulama Sri Vajirarama temple in Karuwalagaswawa.
කොට සිරස ගම්මැද්දට ඉල්ලීම් 3ක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා. පළවෙනි ඉල්ලීම තමයි අපිට පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. අපි දැන් අවුරුදු ගානක ඉඳලා මේ හැම කට්ටියගෙන් පස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා අපිට එපා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ හින්දායි අපේ දුක අපි මේ සිරස ගම්මැද්ද ආයතනයට කිව්වේ.
The Gammadda 100-day initiative. With the people, for the people.
The 67th birthday of Chief Prelate of Japan and President of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagalu Pratisatthera, was celebrated today. Several events were held today to mark the birthday of the Chief Prelate.
The main event was held at the Yoshida Sokanji International School in Savukaskanda this morning. Incidentally, the school's 17th anniversary was also marked today.
If we do something good while we are alive, then it will live much longer than we do. Even if we stop, the service will continue. This Yoshida Institute was something that was initiated by Madam Yoshida. When we were on our way to a certain place, we stopped at a junction. We did not know which way to go from that junction. We were lost. It was during this instance that by destiny I met Mr. Rajamahendran. It is thanks to him that I got the strength to carry on this institute.
In line with the function, a library, a computer unit and a play area for the primary section of the Yoshida International School were declared open today. A blood donation campaign was also held at the Yoshida premises to mark Venerable Banagalu Pratisatthera's birthday.